As you know, Kurt Daly is one of the people that represents Epstein, and we've been doing a lot of foundational things, and Kit's going to give a brief presentation, and you have gotten a copy, I believe, of the timeline that we're presenting to you tonight, so I'm just going to turn it over to you, Kit.
Sure. Well, hello. It's good to be back and see you all. Once again, my name is Kit Daly, and I'm with Eppstein Uhen Architects. And EUA, which is really how we go by EUA, no one ever can say Eppstein Uhen, we're really excited to be getting started working with you guys on facility planning. As you know, you voted to hire us at the end of September, I think, early October. So we've been meeting through October as a core group in the district to get started with some planning. So I'm here to just give you an update on what we've been doing, kind of where we're going. We have kind of a master timeline for you to kind of, I think, digest a little bit and just understand kind of a process that we're going through. So I know you've got a lot on your agenda, a lot of people here with some things to talk about, so I'll try and be quick. From the architectural perspective, since we got started in October, we have been walking both the middle school and high school with all of our mechanical and electrical and plumbing contractors to really understand the condition of both of those buildings. We have a full master planning site survey underway, which is looking at everything related to the sites of both schools as it relates to parking, traffic flow, athletic fields, all of the things that relate to the buildings. And that's particularly important because down the road we need to make sure we know what options we have for the site in terms of any kind of expansion or renovation options. We need to know what we can do on the site and where things could be relocated if necessary. We started meeting with building staff. Some of you may have had the opportunity. If not, we're going to be in the district tomorrow, I know, in the high school in the morning, right? And then the middle school in the afternoon. And the focus of that time where our team is coming in and really walking around and seeing education going on in the district live is to really talk to teachers and to other staff and find out what is working in your classrooms in terms of delivering the curriculum and the programs that you have. From the space perspective, from the facility itself, traffic flow, all of those things, so that we can understand where your needs are, really. This is all part of, if you remember, when we first met with you, we talked about a 4-step process. And the first step was to educate ourselves and you about all of these things, so that as you start to make some decisions going forward about potential solutions to your needs, we know what we're establishing that on. One of the other things that's underway is a utilization assessment, which is really understanding how both the middle school and the high school classrooms and all the spaces in the buildings are being utilized throughout the day. And that helps us understand your capacity, which of course is the buzzword. Everyone's always talking about capacity. To that end, the district's also in the process of undergoing a study to really understand your enrollment projections. So you're contracting with the Applied Population Lab, which is out of UW-Madison. And I think that's a great move because it allows you to have a third-party, completely objective group come in and just run your analysis. And they do all that data gathering from a variety of different levels, not just looking at current population, but also looking at the demographics behind it and housing trends and live birth rates and all that stuff. So they're going to come back to you in January with a report that helps us understand projections going forward. Where are the numbers really in the district? So that any solutions that are being crafted to address both your current needs are in line with where you're going in the future, so that we're not overbuilding or underbuilding, and that we've got good flexible options. So from an architectural perspective, those things are all underway, and we're in the process of being able to come back to you in January at your January board meeting to present some of those findings. What have we learned, and what are some preliminary concepts, knowing that going forward you've already established that you're looking at renovations and expansions and not building new construction off-site somewhere. So with that framework, that's what we plan to come back with you in January for. Any questions on the architectural side before we talk about the community process? Sure.
This might be part of the community process, because I see on the document you sent out that community update, there's a postcard mailing.
Yep, we're going to talk all about that right now. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. I don't want to jump ahead too far, we'll do kind of step at a time. But I think you guys all received a copy of this in your board packet, and if you did, it was probably hard to read because it's really hard to read even at 11 by 17. So hopefully you didn't try and print it on your home computer on 8.5 by 11. I'm kind of blind, but the idea is this is just a really high-level snapshot of trying to help you understand a process that you're really working through with this solution. And this will all be on the district website, by the way. So this is public information. It's an important part of the process that we're trying to help the district go through. So one of the first things you're going to talk about, this is there's not enough for everyone, just so you know.
Yeah,
There's,
I just tell you.
yeah.
Pass around and share if you need to.
Okay, what you're looking at is really very broadly a preliminary referendum planning timeline. So what we're talking about is at the end result of whatever you may be doing, which may be something minor or maybe something more significant, is that in order to pay for that, the district is very likely looking at a referendum down the road. So when you start putting that into play, you need to have a sense of where you're going. So in order to know where you're going, you need to have a target, right? You have to have a destination. So for those planning purposes, looking at where you are standing right now, here in November 30th of 2011, as a team, what we're suggesting that we be focusing on is at first attempt, meaning the first timeline you'd even think about potentially going to referendum would be next fall, November 6th of 2012. So while there is an election opportunity in April, we really don't recommend that because it's happening way too quickly. You have a lot more work to do and a lot of conversation with the broader community to have. So based on that timeline, that's why you see that date as the initial date. Yes?
I think it's important to mention too that date is there just as a date is all.
The benchmark.
The board will decide if in fact there is even an attempt to go to a referendum.
Yep.
Probably early summer.
Well, I'm going to walk you through that, yeah?
Yeah, and I just want to make it clear because everybody jumps to the conclusion that we're always
Yep.
planning for a referendum and we're not, we're planning for facilities.
Well, yeah, you're planning for
And two,
facilities, but in order to realize that, a referendum's likely.
Right.
But we don't know necessarily if you'll even have one. And what's important for you guys to take away from this process is that there are multiple stages between now and next fall, next November, where you as a board will be responding to what your community is saying to you, whether or not you should even continue to move forward. So what that means is that may completely take this timeline off the table. You might learn that this winter. You might need a little further exploration and find out as you get a little further into the year next year that your timing isn't right. The solution isn't correct. You're not comfortable with it. For whatever reason, the feedback that you're getting from your staff, from your community, is that this is not the right time to go to referendum. And the recommendations we would have to you would be to take that very seriously and to continue to revise that. Maybe this pushes back to 2013. We're not sure what's going to happen, but you have to have a plan in order to get started, typically, or else you don't know where you're going. So does that big picture make sense before we kind of hit on some of the highlights of this? I'm trying to move fast because I know you have a lot of people. So the whole idea of this process is really about, number one, understanding what your needs are. As I said, that's what we're doing now. So we can really document what the needs are, what the deficiencies are, what the challenges are, what the strengths are of your existing facilities and the program you're delivering. Then we're going to start factoring in what you want from these facilities and how those potential solutions factor in. So the goal is between now, as I said earlier, between now and January for us to be doing that homework as a team and to bring that to you as a board at your January meeting. And the goal would be that by the end of the month, assuming you have 2 board meetings, correct, in January, where you would have some time to dialogue and give us feedback and we can revise as accordingly, would be to really prepare to take a series of those options. I don't know how many that is. Is that 3? Is that 4? Is that 2? I don't know what that number will be. We don't know what the solutions are yet. To the broader community in February. So when you look at this timeline, you see that across the top are just the months to keep you on track, and across the left are really the major highlights of major activities we'd be doing. And I want you to scoot yourself over to February, where you start seeing us talking about community workshops, community facilities workshops. And I know as a district you have been starting to have World Cafe topics where you bring people in and you have dialogue about it. What we're talking about is something similar to that, dedicated to these options that you're looking at.